tell you that nobody should be who they used to be, especially not from 10 years ago. We're doing new things. We're growing, we're moving forward. Nobody should be the person that they used to be. Nobody should be that. Some people just don't change. Some people literally just don't change. And as a result, they will be where they've always been. And maybe that's okay for them, right? And maybe that is okay for them. But how about for you? Is it okay for you? Are you willing to be in the place where you've always been, doing the things that you've always done? Definitely, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Time goes on. It's going to keep on ticking. It is going to keep on ticking. But a lot of us remain the same. We remain the same person year after year, decade after decade, without change, right? And without a lot of growth in our lives. And I've seen people who have remained the same person decade after decade. Their finances have remained the same decade after decade. Their character, their personality, how they treat people, how they give to people have remained the same decade after decade. And I mean, sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes it's a bad thing. Usually, if you are an adult, you want to make changes in your life for the better, right? You want to grow in whatever that means to you. I don't know. Sometimes people want to grow in the personal space, they want to grow financially, they want to grow, um, they want to grow or change or alter or fix how they treat people. And a lot of people just don't, right? They just remain that same person over time from the beginning of their adult life all the way until they die. I mean, who who wants to do that? But people do. And so what I want to do today on this video is I want to talk about how I've changed a little bit. You know, we got to be a little bit vulnerable when we're talking to the people. So I'm going to talk about how I've changed over time, and I'm also going to talk about the reasons why people usually don't change. So let's talk about me first. As a professional, I definitely have coined myself as a strong leader. And the reason being is because I am really good at taking the mission and vision of a company, an organization, and an educational environment and pushing it forward. So, whatever that mission and that vision is, I'm really good at pushing and driving that forward and training people and growing them to do the same, right? Because if we're in the same space and we're working together, we have to move forward together. So that is definitely a way that I've changed. Obviously, you go into a workspace, you are considered just an employee, not just an employee, but an employee. And then you grow, right? You grow within that space, you grow within that organization, you become a leader in different aspects. And leading doesn't even necessarily mean that you have to have that title, because we see employees step up each and every day who are true leaders, right? I'm an educator, I am an assistant principal right now, and I have tremendous teachers who lead. And so being a leader doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have that title, but that you are able to move people in a specific direction in order to grow the organization, the company, in my case, the students within our educational environment. So just know that when I say leader, I don't necessarily mean that you have to have that title, but that you can move people in a way that drives the mission or the vision forward. Now, flip side of that. As a leader, I am not always great at honing in on the feelings of individuals, right? And sometimes I neglect the feelings and just the personal circumstances of the people within the organization, right? Because I am so focused on moving this thing forward that I'm not necessarily understanding how they're feeling in the process, or not understanding or even caring about the personal situations that they have to deal with as they're trying to move forward. And so that is a space that I need to grow in. And I have been thinking about that a lot since my daughter got sick and was hospitalized for over 3 days, right? So I couldn't step up and be the leader that I wanted to in that time because I had to be there for my family. And that was kind of like I had to juggle my feelings in that. But then a friend reminded me that, listen, it's not necessarily about being here at work. It's about being with your family. So don't focus on that. Focus on your family. And I don't even know why anybody would have to remind me of that, but in that time I did. They did, because sometimes we want to be great in all aspects, but you can't be great in all aspects when you are depleted in a space, or when you're dealing with something personal, or something that's just really important to you, right? You have to give all of your attention to that one thing. And in that case, I needed to give my attention to my family, which was the most important overall. So understanding that times come up like that for employees is really important, right? You have to understand that these are the things that happen in the lives of others, because we are all human. And so, I'm growing, and I am holding myself accountable for growth in that space, because it's really important to see people for who they are. Now, as an adult, I've definitely learned how to take risks. And so I am not so scared to do whatever it is. I talk a lot about investing in the stock market. I know a lot of people who refuse to invest in the stock market, and as a result, their money does not grow. So I have definitely learned how to take risks, albeit calculated risks, but still I am taking risks in my life, and not only in the stock market, in other spaces as well. But you just have to be mindful of um your situation, the timing, and they need to be calculated. Okay, so risks always need to be calculated. One thing that I have not changed in, that I probably need to change in, is that I am just a guarded person, right? And so I don't really let that many people in, because that means being vulnerable. And so when you're vulnerable, sometimes people take advantage. And so I have always had a wall up. I don't want that wall anymore. I kind of want to, like, listen, knock that wall down. I want to have closer relationships with individuals. And that just means like friends. Like I want to just be closer and be able to just have somebody, or people, like a tribe of people who I can confide in. And because I'm so guarded, I just don't. I just don't. And so, like, listen, change is good. Um, but we have to ensure that we are changing in the ways that are appropriate for ourselves and our goals, and changing, I guess, according to what our family needs, and what our employment or employer, or um our professional world needs. I guess that if we change in those spaces, then it could be powerful, right? Now, as I stated before, people don't change. People usually don't change. And there are three reasons why I believe that people don't change. First of all, I'm just trying to choose my words carefully. Um, Sometimes, a lot of times, change takes learning. It takes it takes you to learn. You have to learn in order to be able to change. And that means that you are, I don't know, involving yourself in some type of education, classes, courses. You are around individuals who embody the things that you want or how you see yourself. And so learning, it is not always easy to learn. It is not always comfortable to learn because you are taking yourself to a new height, a different level. You're taking yourself to an overall different space. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, especially if you're making a 180 change. Like, for instance, me not being so guarded, that is a 180 change to take myself from having this wall built up all around me to knocking it down. Like, that is something that is going to take a lot of growth. It's going to take me being around individuals who are comfortable with being vulnerable, sharing of themselves, and becoming close to people. So it takes that, right? It takes that. That is not easy. And as a result, people don't always want to do that. You it it's a different mindset. You have to shift who you were and become somebody different, at least in that space. And that is not always easy to do. It's rather uncomfortable. For instance, I want to make this pasta dish, right? And so I don't feel like learning the recipe. I don't feel like opening up my phone, scrolling down the recipe to read it step by step. And as a result, I just don't, I've not been making those new recipes or involving myself in anything like that because listen, it's gonna take some time. I don't feel like opening my phone. I just want to go to the refrigerator and do the things that I know to do. But at the same time, that means you don't want that pasta dish as bad as you thought you did, right? And so what we have to realize that yes, it does take time. It takes you moving out of a space of comfortability to an more uncomfortable space. But if you want it bad enough, right? If you want something bad enough, you are willing to do it, and you're willing to step out of that uncomfortability to get to the space that you want to be in. Now, one thing that I mentioned was time. It also takes time. It takes time. Like, people had that I was going to college with when it was time, like when you graduated high school, you go to college. Like, listen, people were like, no, I don't necessarily want to go into that college program because it's going to take 4 years. Yeah, it's gonna take 4 years, but I'm gonna tell you something. You gonna be spending 4 years doing something. So what you gonna spend 4 years doing? You gonna spend 4 years learning and growing, or you gonna spend 4 years on a block? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? You have to decide, listen, how you want to spend your time, because the time is going to move by anyway. Just like what we're talking about for this video, the time is going to pass. The question is, how are you going to spend your time as it passes, right? How are you going to spend it? And so learning takes vulnerability. It takes moving out of that uncomfortable space, and it takes time. And you have to be willing to do all of those things in order to learn. And that might not be okay for some people. We talked about risk taking. Changing takes risks because you're no longer the person that you used to be. And you no longer being the person that you used to be will move you out of certain spaces, right? Because listen, I'm not that person anymore. So I don't hang out in that space, or I don't do those things because I'm more so in environments that embody who I am, or I'm more so around people who who align with who I am. And so I'm not in those spaces anymore. And it's okay, right? Changing takes risks because people can no longer view you as the person you used to be. And then they won't. And then some people will be like, well, you're not who you used to be. And then some people will be like, well, you're not who you used to be. And I'm going to tell you that nobody should be who they used to be, especially not from 10 years ago. We're doing new things. We're growing, we're moving forward. Nobody should be the person that they used to be. Nobody should be that. We're moving forward. And the third thing that kind of like coupled with the second is kind of like similar, the same, is you have to be willing as you step out of certain environments to lose the people who you were once with. You have to be willing to lose those friends. You have to be willing to lose those family members who do not see change in you, or no, who don't, who don't see change in you, who view you as the same person, or who want to view you as the same person. Because some people can never get out of their mind who you used to be. Some people can never get that out your mind. Remember when you used to, no, bro, no, 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 no. Or maybe I do, but that's not who I am anymore. So you don't have to keep bringing that up, right? And so you have to be willing to lose people along the way. And a lot of people are not willing to do that. And so that's why a lot of people are not willing to change. But if you are ambitious enough, if you are goal oriented enough, if you want what you want enough, you probably gonna change. Because you have to. It's inevitable, right? We don't want the same things that we wanted at 25 that we do at 40, right? My whole like I'm changing. I've changed so much in terms of my thoughts and in terms of who I wanted to be. Like I so wanted to be this person who climbed this ladder, got to the top, and was amazing. Like that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be that person who whatever it was excelled, grew, pushed, moved forward, got to the top. And yeah, we all want to move forward, but I'm just talking about in terms of climbing that corporate ladder, so to speak. Like that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be that person. And then when I started to get around those people and do those things, I realized that that's no longer what I wanted. Right? Yeah, we all want to grow and but at the speed that I wanted to do it, like I just don't feel like the stress, the pressure anymore. Um to deal with the people that you have to deal with at that level. Like you think you're gonna get to the level and the people gonna be different. These people ain't different. And I'm gonna tell you something, they not that much smarter. So no, like I was trying to climb that ladder mostly for money, mostly because I was a people pleaser, mostly because I wanted to please myself, and that's what I thought was was great. Like that's what I've always saw myself doing. And I realized that at 40, I don't I don't necessarily want that anymore. Um I do want to grow. I want to grow my finances. I want to grow my money. I want to do that, but I want to do that in the way that does not require me having to climb this ladder, which means um it means people have to accept you in. It means that you are dealing with the punches as you move up the ranks. That all comes with stress, that all comes with pressure. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not built for it because I am, but I just don't want to do that anymore. I just don't feel like it, right? I want a different type of life that that maybe involves me on my own path and making money in my own way and in my own business and and growing money in a different type of way that does not involve so much stress, pressure, criticism, feedback, trying to be people pleasing so you can move to the next level. It's all about the politics of it. Nope, like I'm no, 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 no. Who feels like that? I don't anymore. I wanted that at a time, but I don't want that anymore. So no, 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 mm-mm, no. So listen, all I'm saying is that you change. You have to in order to grow to be who you ultimately want to be. You change, and sometimes who you want to be changes, and it's okay. It's okay. Like there's no formula, right? And another thing, right? And another thing, and another thing. One last thing is you can change whenever it is that you want. You don't have to wait to January 1st to change. Change. You don't have to wait. You can do it now. You can do it whenever you feel that it's applicable. Change. It don't take wait until January 1st to make no changes, right? Change. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait.